And good morning. We have an election coming up this week that is of some note. We've been talking about it for some time, but there's a lot of media coverage on it right now. But let's get into the finer details of this, the small print. State question on legalizing marijuana, but what's in the small print we may not have heard about?
Well, let me just remind everyone that we were supposed to vote on this back in November, but it got pushed out to March. So don't be confused by that. Many of you have already voted this weekend. Those of you that haven't have a chance to go out and vote on Tuesday. Look, the small print in this is really just how do we spend the money. We're going to tax recreational marijuana at 15% based on this state question, and it's where that money goes. Education, general revenue fund, treatment programs to our schools. That's the small print in this. There's nothing to be afraid of. Look, I'm going to vote yes on this question. We already have legalized marijuana in the state of Oklahoma. We call that medical marijuana, but nearly a quarter of people have their medical card. Let's just go ahead and make it recreational, get the tax that we need, and spend it on the programs that we want.
Okay, can I ask you to take off your leader hat and put on your counselor hat and tell me what's in the small print we need to know about?
Well, here's in the small print you need to know about. Number one, this was an initiative petition. It wasn't put on the ballot by the legislature. Number two, it's statutory. The legislature could change it in the future. Number three, it's both the recreational marijuana and some criminal justice reform, which I really like. But at the end of the day, I'm a no on State Question 820. I don't think we suffer from too little weed in the state of Oklahoma. I think the small print here also is what's going to happen. There's lots of polling, which I think on this is just absolute garbage. No one knows what the voter universe is for the first weekend of March for a statewide election. So your vote really does count, and I hope citizens go out and vote.
Okay, I want to quote you. In the past, you've said Oklahoma doesn't suffer from too little weed, all right? The last one, the medical marijuana, was an initiative petition. There was a boatload of problems with that. So the question is, will this state question fix the old problem?
Yeah, so let me flip. Well, I'm against recreational. I am pro-medical when there's a real medical need. I think there's no reason to deny that of someone if there's a real medical need. The legislature has got to continue what we're doing, though, to get the illegal actors out of this state so the legal actors can thrive. Senator Lonnie Paxton, Representative Rusty Cornwell, Representative Scott Fettgatter, Representative TJ Marty, they've done a great job of continuing to push this issue, but we've got to continue to do this. This will not fix our problems. The legislature this year has to do things like my bill that gives the Attorney General more authority, but continue to help OMMA and OBNDD to get the illegal actors out of this state.
Do you think this fixes the problem we have?
Look, I totally agree with the floor leader here that this will not fix our problem. So you're not voting to fix your problem on Tuesday. What you're voting on is we already have recreational marijuana. We've talked about this for years with so many people having their medical card and with it being so easy to get. We already have that. So let's just raise the tax so that we can use that money for the things that we want. How we fix our problem, I think the AG has struck out on a really good path in order to clean up a lot of the illegal grows. That can be done by the AG, that can be done by the legislature, and you need to make sure that you're talking to them to do that because we have a real problem there, but Tuesday's vote has nothing to do with that problem.
Okay, so last week was education. We were talking about, are you going to get your tax cut? You bet. Maybe. We'll talk about it when we come back. And welcome back. We're going to call this Project Farfignugan, for those of you who can remember that. All right, so we know what the company is, but let's get to the issue, which is the LEAD Act. L-E-A-D, passed by the House, signed by the governor. Big project on the horizon. What is it?
So the LEAD Act was what we tried to do last year to get Panasonic to bring a battery plant to the state of Oklahoma. It was amended this year. The governor is in negotiations with Volkswagen. What it would do is bring 3,500 jobs, would bring that battery plant to GRDA and Pryor. It would be great for the state of Oklahoma. And the key in all of this is the money is already there. It has no effect on the education budget, no effect on the tax cut budget. This is funding in cash because of good conservative principles. We have the ability to do this. We should find out this week whether or not we get it. But if we don't get it inside the new amendment of the LEAD Act, that money goes back into general revenue.
Okay, so we've had a couple of swings and misses. Did we finally get there?
Yeah, we used to call this Project Ocean, so maybe we'll just call it Project Ocean 2, but it is for Volkswagen to come to the Pryor area. If any of you watched the Super Bowl, it was dominated by commercials with EV cars. Electric vehicles are here to stay, and they're going to need batteries to be built. So we have an opportunity in the state of Oklahoma to become a leader in this, in battery technology and battery manufacturing. It's a great opportunity. It was a bipartisan bill, both the first time and this time, signed by the governor. Those negotiations are happening now. We'll see, but it's good for the state.
Okay, we've been hearing from Republican leadership that the tax cut issue is coming in the House, and it did come along, and also sports betting. Help us out on what happened this week.
Well, it was a deadline week and first deadline week. So if bills didn't make it out of their committee of origin into the House or Senate floors, then those bills are dead for the year. Lots of stuff moving forward. Whether or not we're going to get tax cuts, that probably we won't know until the middle of May when the budget's finally out there. What I do know is we've already promised a tax credit to wealthy parents for private schools, as much as $300 million. Consequently, that's about the same amount that the grocery tax cut would cost. So are we going to give hardworking families an opportunity to have a break on their groceries, or are we just going to give it to folks that already send their kids to private schools? We'll see.
A week ago, when I was taping my exclusive interview with the Speaker, which I do every week, I asked him after the big education bill, can you do tax cuts? He says, you bet we can do that, and you did it so far.
Absolutely. I love when my good friend and all those talk about the Parent Choice Program without mentioning the $500 million to common education, which would create the largest common education budget in the history of the state of Oklahoma, a 51% increase in common education since my time as floor leader. But the answer is yes. We absolutely can give citizens back more of their hard-earned money. We have $2.1 billion extra. You heard me correctly, $2.1 billion. I think the Senate is working on it. The House has been there for years. The test will be, is it reform, is it a cut? But do you, the citizens, pay less taxes next year than you did last year? We have the funds to both fund education, fund parents, and cut taxes, and we should do it.
Okay, so it heads over to the Senate. It'll be interesting stories. See this again at news9.com/Yearbook Council. Follow me on Twitter @NaturalTalks.